All right. Welcome everyone. For those who just joined, our icebreaker is birth order. So were you the youngest of your family, the oldest child, middle child, or only child? And here is today's agenda. And we are recording this, so for anyone who's not here, they can watch later. Okay, welcome everybody. Good to see you all. Pretty excited. This is our first meeting with our new contract. So it feels a little bit like a new chapter for me at least. And we'll talk a bit about what the focus will be in, this new year. So kicking things off with just our usual housekeeping reminder that reporting from October through December, which is really our strategic planning, is due at the end of this month, 31st. Please let me know if you've got questions about that directive. I'm sure that your answers will prompt a lot of questions for us and discussion. So I expect that we'll have some follow-up meetings after you submit those reports. So I'm really excited to read those. And know that this is a brainstorming exercise, and it can lay the groundwork for what we plan to do for the next 2 years, but we can always, it's okay to not have all of the answers, or you're not going to be held so tightly to this that we can't make tweaks where it makes sense. So and then just another reminder to try to get in as many invoices as you can from the end of the last contract and the end of last year. So just a couple reminders there. So on the topic of contract extension, I know we've talked about this a bit. I did just want to, remind you all that the funding source that we have for your contracts comes from the original appropriation, the original allocation from the ARPA dollars. They're called SLFRF, State and Local Fiscal Recovery Fund dollars, that was originally allocated for the grant, like all of the money that we actually paid out to grantees. Your original outreach and TA contracts came from that bucket, and CDA's administrative costs. So want to pull back the curtain if this wasn't already clear. What we decided to do with remaining funds after the 2 rounds of grants, we saw there was some funding left. We felt that it was the best use of these precious taxpayer dollars to keep you guys around, to help grantees be compliant, finish out their grant, bring them into the consortium, and then where that made sense, promote the next opportunity through legislation, which is the tax credit. So what we did was, there was some money left over from the big bucket of grant funds and outreach and TA funds, but there wasn't enough to make it so that your contracts were about the same as that first year. So we pulled some money from CDA's admin bucket so that you guys had a contract amount that was similar. I know it's not exactly to the penny the same, but it was about the same as that first year's worth of work. So I'm telling you all this so that, one, you can kind of just carry that awareness that this is something that we value a lot. And this is a little bit unprecedented in state programs to have this much money go towards outreach and technical assistance. So I want all of us to really be thinking about how can we build that case for the necessity of this, through our quarterly reports and just demonstrating the impact of what would have happened if you guys weren't there to help. So, and I also bring this up because I do want it to be very clear that we don't have any more pockets of money beyond 2026. So I think we just want to it's never too soon to think about how can we create continuity with this work if we see it as valuable. And I know you all are building really important inroads in making a space for technical assistance. So I think we should be thinking about, okay, if we want this work to continue, what are our mechanisms to do that? So I know oh yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Jay.
So the funding for the tax credit goes through 2030. And I guess I imagined that the funding for TA and outreach would go through that too, but you're saying that you don't have the funds. You're only going to have the funds to pay us this year and in 2026.
Yeah.
And then we're on our own if we wanted to keep doing TA and outreach for this.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Jay.
Okay, that's very good to know.
So again, Jay, I know that you're not the official signer for the contract, but as I mentioned in last month's meeting, and I have a link to it in our agenda, I did create sort of a generalized contract. I do think it's really important for all of you guys working on this project to read that contract, just so you're aware of those dates, so that you have a good sense of the scope of the length of time, the expectations. So we have a link to that in the agenda. So feel free to look at that. I've highlighted Exhibit A and Exhibit B are kind of the more, the language that's like a little more project relevant. Some of the other language is general contract language. And that first page does have the dates. And then in your actual contract, which you can ask Max to see a copy of your actual contract, it has amounts of funds. So that's a really important thing that I want us all to be aware of, especially as we're writing this strategic plan. The strategic plan is for 2 years. It's not for all the years that the tax credit exists. Any other comments or questions about that?
I can't remember the funding source. I can see the logo. Do y'all have visions of applying for that again? That was like really well paired with this work. Just curious.
The Healthy Food Financing Initiative. Yeah, so right, good memory. We did apply back. So yeah, before we had even given out any money in grants, we were trying to think, okay, 1 year is not enough time with these guys. So we did apply for a national grant program through the Healthy Food Financing Initiative. That's the same organization that creates those eligibility maps that we use. And so they're very aligned with the goals of what we are doing with community food access programs work. So Penelope's right. We did not get those funds, which is a big bummer. I also asked why we didn't get those funds. If they had any feedback, they didn't provide it. So I might nudge a little bit more as we start thinking along those lines. But yeah, that's kind of the only real source of funding, unless, Colorado's legislature wants to support this, which, we did take some programmatic departmental liberties deciding how we wanted to spend this money. So it's not like all of our representatives sat down and said, you know what, we want $1.5 million to go towards grassroots organizations doing on the ground outreach and technical assistance. So this is something we do have to defend to the legislature, especially in this really hot climate of, low funding. So yeah, just
Can I
in the spirit.
Can I ask
Oh, yeah.
another question?
Yeah.
So you're saying you wanted to justify how the funds were spent on TA, and I'm curious. It seems like you guys would have the data that
Yeah.
in the regions that had TA providers, those regions probably got more of the grant funds than the regions that didn't have it. And then I'm curious too if there's a correlation between how much like our organization billed you to how much money our region got.
Yeah, I think we totally have the data, Jay. We totally have a very strong case. And I think I'm just bringing this up so that you guys can keep thinking along those lines of bringing more data that is really just irrefutable, so that if we ever have to present to a committee, we've got a very rock solid examples with statistics as to, why we thought this spending the state's money this way was justified. So there's really nothing for you guys to do on this right now, kind of just planting the seed. In the spirit of being transparent, I want you guys to know where the money for your work is coming from, when it runs out, what we're thinking right now. I all too often, you guys in these positions get money to do work and there's no plan for after it, right? So I think let's just think about, is this work we want to continue after 2026? Is there a need for it? And then if so, how are we going to think about that? So we have years to do this thinking. So for the meantime, just focus on the work that's in the contract and kind of keep that buzzing in the background. Any comments on this? Okay. All right. So up next, we want to focus this meeting on talking about how you guys can support us with helping grantees getting their paperwork in. So we'll talk about the tax credit and the updates there, but the big one is that we are in between rules right now. So as I mentioned in my email, this is a kind of an awkward time to promote a program, because when you direct someone to the website, there's no open application, and there's not really any information on the website besides links to 2 rules. So it's understandable if you kind of want to pause for a beat on the promotion of the tax credit. For that reason, and also because, there will be some complexity to navigate with the rules, what's eligible now versus what's going to be eligible on and after March 17th. So we need help with grantees. We still have about 100 grants open right now. So out of 116 grantees, we have, under 20 that have submitted all of the paperwork that we're looking for from them. And we're in a pretty busy time right now with tons of grantees either needing to submit paperwork, submitting paperwork that doesn't meet our standards, or in this kind of back and forth with, with Adonai mostly. So to kick off this conversation, I want to direct everyone's attention to the, actually, let me share my screen here. So I'm just going to our agenda. And yeah, everyone should be experts in this proof of payment and receipt guide. So this is what was sent to beneficiaries, grantees. We sat with them in a meeting to explain exactly everything we needed from them. They signed an attestation saying they understood it. And now it's time for them to deliver it, right? And a lot of them need a little bit of help. So everyone who's on your contract being paid to do this work should be experts in this guide. We went over this guide in depth on our September monthly meeting. So feel free to watch the recording of that meeting if you want to refresh on on that worksheet. And yeah, I'm going to pass it over to Adonai to talk about our plan for how we want to, guide you to help these grantees.
Thank you, Mickey. So yeah, our plan to help these grantees, we have created a spreadsheet where we are updating each single grantee in real time. So this is changing by the minute. And we have assigned colors to each one of them. So that way, whenever you, so yeah, so we have red, orange, yellow, and green. And red, it's somebody that's urgent, that they need support, that they might be over the due date already, or they haven't sent anything at all, or whatever they are trying to send is just not complete and very hard to read or something like that. So yeah, those are businesses that will need some help with reaching out and offering support immediately. Then we have the orange, that businesses that might need some support. Maybe they are almost ready and they just need to scan that last invoice or something like that, or they are almost there, but they still are worth reaching out to offer the support. And we have yellow businesses that there's nothing needed at this time. It's probably they have sent their invoices so far. Maybe they still have to report throughout the year. They've done it good, so we are not very concerned for them, but they still have the grant open. It's not closed, as we say. They have not submitted the full entire documentation yet. And yeah, so we are gonna have these for every single region. And like I say, it's gonna be updated maybe once a week or depending on how things are changing. Maybe someone that's red today can be green tomorrow. They just needed to submit something and they did, which is great. But yeah, we're gonna need help with this effort. And like Mickey said, yeah, being an expert on that guide, and reaching out to them, knowing what they need, which we can provide for you. So for example, if you are thinking of visiting a couple of businesses tomorrow, just let me know. And well, not maybe a day before, but ahead of time, let me know, and we can send you our last communications so you know exactly what you need from them. Like, oh, it was this invoice, it's, I don't know, it's not scanned properly, this check is not cashed yet, we need the bank statement to include the name. So that's why, yeah, we need you to review that guide for proof of payment, because yeah, you need to guide the businesses most of the time to submit what we are requiring for reporting for this grant.
Yeah, thanks, Adonai. Yeah, so I also want to really stress that these 100 businesses are emailing Adonai, and he is doing his best to keep these spreadsheets, which you all have access to. They're the same spreadsheets that I sent you to tell you which businesses applied. So I just added a column that says POP status. POP stands for proof of purchase, proof of payment. So it's very challenging for Adonai to, I mean, he receives dozens, if not close to 100 of emails every day. It does take us a long time to review each proof of purchase and proof of payment. So it's very challenging to keep things up to date, you know, in the minute. But by developing this system, we felt that it would help you all kind of prioritize, give you some sort of sense of where they're at with their grant. So red is the priority. We need your help getting in touch with this business, connecting with this business, helping this business keep the money that we sent them. Like Adonai said, orange, you know, it's not as urgent as red, but they may be showing signs of needing extra help, right? There's little clues that we get with the documentation that they do send in that helps us know, okay, they might need a little bit of extra support. Yellow, you know, we're not thinking at this time that they'll need a lot of your support, but it does not hurt to reach out to them. Keep them in your network of businesses. And yeah, they could turn into someone who maybe needs a little more support. And then green indicates that we received all of that documentation for their grant already, but doesn't hurt to reach out to them, again, to keep them in your network, and also to let them know that we will be sending out that impact evaluation survey in the coming months. So yeah, I think in terms of communication, and we've heard that it's challenging to establish rapport with a business that you've never met, that you didn't help get this grant. If you did help a business get a grant, please, please, please help them keep it, right? If you were a primary outreach and technical assistance provider who helped them get to the point where they got this money, please put in the effort to help them keep it, right? Again, though, for those businesses who you haven't met yet, we are just asking you to do your best. You know, we can brainstorm ways to, yeah, go in and kind of meet your, yeah, things to say to kind of establish trust, authority, and yeah. Sorry, I'm so distracted by these little pen marks here on the, I don't know how that happened. I think it was Jay. Can you guys draw on this? Anyway, yes. So this is going to be a big effort, but we are asking you to help these businesses comply with these proof of purchase and proof of payment requirements that they agreed to. So Adonai, anything else? Well, yeah, just to reiterate what Adonai said, what we hope you'll do is take a look at these sheets that we've sent you. Please just let me know if anyone else on your team needs access to these sheets. Happy to grant it. And then make a plan for who's gonna reach out to which business and how, and then send an email to Adonai and say, we're planning to visit this business. Can you send me everything up to the minute of where this business is at? Adonai will send you their attestation that they signed, any changes to their attestation that they made, you know, in agreement and with our approval, and any documentation they have submitted, and then what we are asking, what we need from them now. Anything else, Adonai?
No, I think that's very important to know what you are walking into before you go to the store. And then grantees are going to have all the information on their email. They're going to have all the communications that we have sent them. But still, like I think it's useful if you already have it beforehand, so you know what we are gonna need from them. Like, okay, it was that invoice. Okay, we have no idea what you are submitting because there's very simple reports that's just an invoice for a piece of equipment and the check and that's it. That's the end of it. But we have like projects with hundreds of Home Depot receipts and Ace Hardware and Amazon orders. So yeah, like that's the most challenging part, I think, for everyone. Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad to see that y'all put that list together. I feel like I asked for it. I'm like, I don't know who's complied or who hasn't. So I'm really grateful y'all have coded it that way. That's going to be really helpful.
Yeah. And yeah, we hear you, Jay. It is a ton of effort to keep these things up to date, though, is the problem. As we speak, Adonai is getting emails now, then they change the status. So,
Yeah.
we're trying to figure out how we can streamline our work, not duplicate our work, with, yeah, the humongous volume of, I mean, you guys have watched us grow from a program that was, yeah, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and excited for a bunch of applicants, and now we have them. I mean, between all of you guys, I think there's 30 outreach and technical assistance providers. We have 116 grants, got around 50 tax credit applicants and awardees. So, yeah, 3 big food hubs who are now under, so yeah, we just have a large volume of open contracts, open grants that we're managing. So hopefully this system can help bring you guys in, but please bear with us as, yeah, things may not be quite as up to the minute as we wish they could be. Michelle, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you guys can check the chat, there was a couple people that couldn't access that file and folder, so I just want to make sure everyone can get to that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or, I mean, I can try and do it, but I'm not sure I can change the permissions.
Which, where is the chat? Let me stop sharing.
Sorry. Distracting, I know.
Lost the chat. Okay. Okay, yeah, so, thanks Adonai for sharing that, but actually each of you only has access to the spreadsheet for your region. So Adonai, sorry, that folder, they don't have access to. So each one of you, so the lead contractor in each of your regions has access to the spreadsheet, and please, let me know who else on your team is going to be looking at this spreadsheet and needs access to it. I can grant that. So, I mean, the easiest way is to share it with them and have them request access. It's very easy to grant that. So,
Nikki, I
yeah.
have. Do you already send out a link to those individual spreadsheets for the regions?
Yes, I just sent it right now.
Okay.
Oh,
yeah, I see it. Thank you. 12 minutes ago. Sorry about
yeah, while Ad and I was talking, I had it all queued up. Cool. Yeah, so Erica, so Hallie will share the spreadsheet with you if you already have access, which she may have granted back. This is the same spreadsheet, again, that you guys looked at to look at all the applicants for the grant. That same spreadsheet, we just added a column to it. So if you don't have access, I'll grant it. But yeah, we're gonna keep it to just your regions for who you can see. Sound fair?
Totally. Thank you.
Any comments, questions, ideas?
Yeah, I think I forgot to mention, if you have any questions about the proof of payment guide, please review our recording from September 4. it's on the agenda, the link for the recording.
Thanks, Adonai. Yeah, I didn't go back and watch what minute it starts, but I think we spent the majority of that meeting talking about the proof of payment guide.
I have a quick question about that as well.
Yeah.
I opened the link and it says August 2024 OTA meeting. Did we just end up
Yeah.
pushing that back to September?
Yeah.
Okay,
Was,
sorry.
so yeah, if you go into your outreach and technical assistance folder, you'll see that that was a meeting that was supposed to happen in August, but I can't remember why I had to push
No
it. but-
worries. I just wanted to double check. Thank you.
Yeah. I think the actual, are you guys really familiar and comfortable? I mean, do you guys watch these recordings a lot? I have them all on one sheet of paper, which, let me share my screen again, just so you guys are, so here's your contractor resources folder. In the meetings folder, we've got all of our agendas, archived, but there's this meeting recordings document, which is all the meeting recordings that we've actually been able to record. You guys may remember that there were some technical fails a couple times, but yeah, so I try to put a little bit of a caption for each one of them too. So this meeting was supposed to happen August 28th, but was pushed back to December 4th. Lengthy review of the proof of payment guide was the feature of this meeting. So there it is. Hopefully this is a handy document, especially for your subcontractors who maybe aren't coming to every single one of these meetings. Good questions. Anything else? So just one more mention on the grant impact evaluation forms. These this is how we're measuring the impact of the grant. I do want to stress that this isn't something that like the department will come and take the money back if it's not filled out. But of course, with our, we want to show that this grant was impactful. So we really hope that you will strongly encourage and help people fill out this evaluation form. We haven't written it yet, so it's not available, but it is coming soon. We're aiming for March to be when we release it. Hopefully we can meet that deadline. The goal is that we're sending this out between 6 months and 1 year after these grantees finish their projects. So we're not going to send it to someone who's not done with their grant yet, but for folks who are green on your spreadsheet, they can be expecting an evaluation form coming soon. So we're going to go to all lengths to make sure this is a really quick and easy thing to fill out, because we really do want people to fill it out. We will be focusing on increased sales due to the project. Increased sales to low-income, low-access customers due to the project. That can be measured in SNAP sales, however people want to do it. And then kind of like a narrative, what is the impact in your words for a low-income, low-access community because of this project? We want all the stories that they want to share. We want all the pictures that they want to share. So you can kind of give folks a heads up that this is coming. Any questions about that?
Is that something you want us to also like handhold people to do?
I think for now, Jay, let's say, it would be great if you could prime them up and say there's going to be a quick survey coming about your impact. So save your stories, save your pictures. I think it's going to depend on how many people fill it out. I think, there could be a chance next September we only have 20 surveys filled out, and we might come to you guys and say, we need a few more. Could you guys help them? So yeah, I'm not quite sure. It might be something that, we're going to go to all lengths to make this really easy and simple to fill out. And usually people do like telling their story. But, if we have a 95%, uh, fill out rate, we're not going to say, Jay, could you spend 30 hours trying to get this one business owner to complete their survey?
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay. All right. Any other questions about this before we move on?
Yeah, I have a question, Mickey.
Yeah.
How do we know what to support them on? And how do the people who have submitted their applications, like if they're in the yellow, how do they know that they're not at the nothing needed at this time stage yet?
Yeah. So they will have an email from us. As Ad and I mentioned, everybody's going to have an email. Usually when we're bringing you guys in, it's because we have asked something of the grantee that they have not responded to. So the best plan of action is to, take a look at that sheet, identify the ones that are, red and start there, orange after that, and then just a gentle reaching out to anyone who's in the yellow category, just saying, hey guys, as you know, I'm working with CDA on this project. If you need CDA, let us know that you're not quite done with your grant. I'm here to support you with any of the documents you need to submit to prove you purchased what's on your attestation.
Okay, I am just curious personally too, because I'm in the yellow with the Learning Council, and I'm not finding any email or anything saying why. So I'm curious if other folks in our region are in that same category, which then
Yeah.
makes it hard to reach out and be like, you're yellow, but I don't know why, and you might not either.
Yeah. So I think we need to take a look at that one-on-one, but right, that's what we're going to have to do with everyone. Like we have to dig into your file and see, okay, where are we at? And it could be that just CDA is not, maybe you submitted something that we have not reviewed yet, which, yeah, that's another thing we want to mention with this is, when you work with a grantee to submit your paperwork, please expect like at least 2 weeks before our very small team can get in there, review it, and get back to you. So yeah, I think you're kind of hitting on the admin bottleneck here, which is that, yeah, I think I do think it's fair to say, CDA, let me know that you're not quite finished. Let me know if I can support. And if they write back to you and say, I don't have an email from them, then you guys can together look at what they've submitted and see if you can identify anything that they missed, and kind of work on it on that end. But they could have just submitted it and we're just still working through it. Lauren?
Yeah, and I feel like maybe something that could be helpful is, and I don't know if this would be too much work for you and your team and for Ad and I, but a column that has like we last updated this, January 1st or January 2nd, just so that we as contractors can see the last time that Ad and I went in and received a communication from the grantees or sent them an email.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're considering kind of just keeping, yeah, so we can put, and I'm looking in the Denver Metro, and I'm already seeing you guys adding columns, which I love. I think, yeah, we'll put a date. So this is pop status as of today, January 22nd. And then we'll just add another column, pop status as of February. And likely it will be, I mean, it's kind of up to Adonai, but I'm expecting a more realistic update of just general updates. You know, generally updating this is like every month. I think the better plan is to decide who's a high priority. Connect with Adonai, and you guys can feel free to use these sheets and update this yourself for your own memory. But yeah, I think we'll kind of just keep this moving along with the goal of having everyone kind of moving one step forward, especially in this time where the tax credit's between rules. Adonai, do you have any thoughts on that?
No, yeah, I think it's worth to write down whenever we update it, and yeah, I think it's gonna be useful.
Mm-hmm. So Alicia, yeah, let's give us a minute. I can't meet right after this meeting, but we'll go back into your file and see what was lingering and yeah, let you know.
Thanks so much.
Okay. All right, let's see. So tax credit updates. This is exciting. So as you all know, we had the application period end on at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. This was our biggest application cycle yet, which we expected with this new program. But it's still really exciting to see how, well, one, to see all of the work you guys have done in getting the word out. We had a lot of applications from folks who mentioned you guys as helpers or where they learned about the tax credit. The tax credit is, it's really nice because once we award that tax credit, we don't have to do any of this work that we just talked about. They're done. They get their certificate. So yeah, we're really starting to see the beauty of the tax credit program. So also, we got our first round of applications from the consortium tax credit. So this is that delivery, the tax credits for delivery fees. So we just got a few, which is the perfect number to work through. And it's really exciting to see how some of these small stores, all of them in rural areas, will be able to get a substantial tax credit for operating expenses that will really support their bottom line. So pretty excited about that. And all of the folks who applied, I mean, yeah, we're just really grateful. They just jumped right in and we're our guinea pigs, and they'll be able to share some best practices for other businesses going forward and into 2025. So we did send on January 2nd a notice to all businesses who applied, telling them to please wait to file their taxes until they get their certificate. The reason why is if they file their taxes before the Department of Revenue knows about any certificate of a credit that they're supposed to get, they won't get that credit. So then they would have to file a protest, and then they're in this very formal path of, you know, they have exactly X number of days to follow all of these steps. So to avoid all of that, we are recommending that folks file their taxes after they either hear that they did not get the tax credit, or when they get their certificate, they can file. So for that reason, we are, full steam ahead trying to process these tax credit applications as fast as possible. So our team, as we mentioned, got a lot of work with the proof of payment stuff, but our focus right now is getting those tax credit applications processed and getting those certificates to businesses. So we are kind of nose to the grindstone with that right now. So on January 10th, we were able to get out all clarification questions to businesses who either submitted an incomplete application. And the most common reason for an application to be incomplete is the same issues we have with grantees. It's that proof of payment and proof of purchase. So again, that's why we want you guys to be an expert in that proof of payment, proof of purchase guide. Those themes run through everything we do here in this program, whether it's the grantees, the tax credit applicants, or you guys submitting your own invoices to us. The same rules apply, right? So the more you can be an expert in that guide, the better you'll be at helping all of these businesses and submitting your own invoices to us. So businesses have 15 days to complete that incomplete submission. Some of them had some more clarifications on the responses to their application questions, not just we're missing a bank statement from you. So on, I think 15 business days put us around February 5th. So that is the date at which point, if we don't have a complete application, they will be taken out of consideration, and we will be able to award everyone who did have a complete application in the order that we describe in our rule. So you may be wondering, well, I didn't get any clarifying questions from the business that I helped. We submitted everything. What's taking so long? It's because we have to wait for the businesses who submitted an incomplete application to complete them. So we're hoping to kind of hustle and get those certificates out as fast as possible mid-February. So that's what you can expect in terms of a timeline for those tax credit certificates. I do want to mention, this is the last bullet point in this section. We learned something. On Christmas Eve, I was on a call with our attorney who let us know that we actually can accept applications for purchases that happened in 2024 this year. So we've written that into our rule. So we effectively extended the deadline for folks to get a tax credit for things that were purchased in 2024, which is so exciting. So this is new. We thought that December 31st was like the hard cutoff. But yeah, it is really exciting. So if you were talking with a business who did purchase something, but they just felt way too stressed out to submit by that deadline, they do still have a chance. However, this will affect their filing status, or they will need to think about when they file their taxes for 2024 if they're going for this credit. So again, we're not experts in this, but it's my understanding that they can apply for an extension. So that would make it so they're not penalized if they're filing later in the year after they get their tax credit. Or they can go through the protesting procedure, and that's all within the Department of Revenue. So something to note, they will need to work with a tax expert to decide how they file, whether or not, and that may dictate whether or not they want to apply for the tax credit. But when we open the application, again, there will be an opportunity for them to apply for equipment that they purchased in 2024. Any questions about that?
Yeah, can I ask a question? Is that just for this year, or is that the case every year?
Oh, yeah, good question. So 2023 is not, the legislation didn't start in 2023. So nothing from 2023 and before is eligible. But yes, you're right. Every year going forward, there will be a whole year. We still plan to have that application deadline on the 31st of December, because realistically, people do want to file their taxes. This has been brought up a lot on these calls. If you're paying money for equipment, you want to turn that around and get that credit as soon as possible. So we will keep that deadline, and we do hope that, we get most of our applications during the year. But for things that were purchased later in the year, or for folks that really need to build a better case for, I bought this in November, but I cannot really demonstrate its impact on making a difference for a low-income, low-access community until, the next season starts up again. This could be a good option for them. So the plan is the very last opportunity to submit an application is 1 full calendar year after the end of the year in which the equipment was purchased. Questions about that?
About the deadline. So it's not like April 30th is the deadline for 24 purchases. It'll be the end of 2025 is the actual deadline for the previous year's purchases.
Yeah.
Okay, that's awesome.
Yeah. But again, they need to have a plan for how they're actually going to get that credit, working with the Department of Revenue. So again, that's where a tax expert is really who we want to direct them to. But yeah, just making sure they're filing. Yeah, they know just because they apply and get a certificate, it doesn't mean that they're going to get the credit unless they go through the processes to request that credit, especially if they've already filed their taxes for that year. So we can look more into that so that we have a better sense of what that process is. But ultimately, that's their decision on that.
And Mickey, what rule is gonna apply to them? Like the rule that the day they purchase the equipment, or the rule they apply for the credit?
The rule when they purchase the equipment.
Okay.
So yeah, these are the challenging times of being between rules. So yeah. Speaking of the rule change, as you guys know, we presented the rule change to the Ag Commission last week, and it was adopted. But there's this kind of long period where the Attorney General's office can issue an opinion. So we've proposed all these changes. The Attorney General is going to read our rules and make sure that they are not in violation with anything that's written in the statute. So in our legislation, because we cannot have that. So that's what they're doing. It takes them 2 months, which we had 2 months to read everything. But so that's why we have this awkward time where these are the new rules. This is what we're going to be operating under, but they're not technically effective until the AG's office issues their opinion, which at the earliest will be March 17th. It could be later, but we expect it to be March 17th. So that's why we are trying to reduce confusion by, glad to be
Right.
transparent.
Well, I was gonna say, and I'll just say it then. This is the first state program or even federal program I've been a part of where there's like this much transparency, and I just really appreciate it and wanted to say thank you.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think it's important. I'm new to this. You know, I'm learning this with you guys. I don't know the process of rule changes. So I think for me, it's helpful. This is how I'm learning it and how I'm understanding it. And yeah, I hope it's helpful for you guys. And, you know, these processes are the same across state agencies. So when you hear about other programs doing rule changes, it's going to follow the same structure as this. So, you know, yeah, I do think that there's a lot of confusion about government processes. So if this can serve as an opportunity to feel a little more clear about what's going on, happy to provide that. So our plan, our hope is that on the 17th, the rules become effective. The AG's office has no issue with what we're proposing. And then we'll open the application. So as you can imagine, we're going to be really busy during this time. Putting our application on a way, way better platform. Who's sick of the Google form? Just me? Okay, I too. Yeah, the Google form is great, but there's a better way for everyone. Especially with this tax credit, where we're asking for all of the proof of payment, proof of purchase documents all at one time. Pretty easy for people to forget to upload one thing. It'll be way easier to say exactly what we need from folks if you put everything in one spot. So we're transitioning our application to a platform called access.gov. And we have really high hopes for it. So we're going to be busy bringing the application over to this platform. We would love if any of you are willing to give it a test run, give us some feedback, tell us if there's a glitch so that we can make sure it's perfect by the time we open it up in March. So no need to offer yourselves now. We'll let you know when it's ready to go, and we'll give you guys an invitation to kind of test it, which will really provide us a lot of feedback and help us work out some kinks. And it will also help you guys become really familiar with the application. So, okay, so the big question, and we talked about this last month, and I feel like we've talked about it a lot already. What are we doing right now? There's nothing to tell, you know, if we're talking about the tax credit, there's no website to show them. As we mentioned, this is a great time. This is a wonderful time to help grantees finish up. The more grantees we can kind of get to a point of completion with their documents they need to submit, the more administrative bandwidth we have to focus on all of the rest of the things. So We would love for you guys to kind of double down on those grantees, get really familiar with that proof of payment, proof of purchase guide, and help us reach a point of, I think this is ambitious, but I put it here. I would love if by March 17th, we have 75% of our grantees done with their proof of payment, proof of purchase. I don't think that's actually realistic, but why not shoot high? So that's going to be the primary focus for you guys the rest of this month and all of February and half of March. Again, strategic planning with your team. That's a big focus right now. And yeah, you can think about this January through, thanks, Michelle. January through mid-March period as, yeah, what sort of kind of softer work needs to happen to build trust, to establish a plan that might go by the wayside once a new application opens. So thinking about that kind of work that can be done while this application is closed. And then can always promote the consortium offerings. So as we mentioned in December, we had an amazing meeting in December. A lot of great engagement. What we're looking for with the consortium right now is for more folks to fill out our assessment survey. So that survey asks questions like, what's the best time to schedule meetings? What interests you most about connecting with this group? What kind of barriers do you face sourcing products? So we would love if you could help businesses who are grantees, all grantees are automatically consortium members, fill out that survey. So yeah, again, maybe that's something that's going out in a communication to folks in the green and yellow buckets, yeah. Expect, yeah, we would love to see more engagement in the consortium. Please fill out this survey. And yeah, keep an eye out for our next meeting. We're thinking it's going to be in March. You've got links in the agenda to the consortium member resource folder. Yeah, please review everything in there that, these are the opportunities and the, yeah, the benefits that these consortium members have access to.
Can you let us know who is in the consortium and who's not?
So everyone who's a grantee is a member of the consortium. We've also added anyone who got tax credit. So that's a couple folks in your region. There have been 2 people who have applied just independently, but that's not a huge number. So
well, I guess what I mean is, so I realize they're automatically in the consortium, but are they coming to the meetings? Are they active?
We've only had 1 meeting. And we didn't have super high expectations for everybody to be there. I can tell you that we've only had 20 people of our 110 consortium group fill out the survey. So I think chances are pretty good that if you say, hey, don't forget to fill out this survey, it is important. It's going to help you. It's going to help us create a consortium that works for you. I think chances are pretty high that they haven't already filled it out yet, if that helps. And those are kind of like the only ways so when you say, are they an active member, there really haven't been that many opportunities for people to be active in something, if that helps. Yes, okay, where was I? So as you can tell, I was kind of going through the outreach and TA priorities right now, as well as the consortium stuff. So, yeah, other, like a lower priority, but still definitely something to engage in would be reading the tax credit rules, new and old. This will impact, it's going to be a tough time. If someone buys something now, they will be held to the current rules. But if they buy something in April, they'll be under the new rules. So just kind of having a sense of, all right, what's changing. We went through that in previous meetings and in the hearing, but yeah, just having an understanding by reading those rules will really help. And that will be kind of the best. I mean, that's the only thing on the website right now. And then, yeah, thinking about encouraging businesses who bought something in 2024 to consider applying for a tax credit, even though they won't get that tax credit certificate until realistically July. So, helping them decide if that's worth their time. If it's a pretty small purchase and the tax credit isn't that meaningful to them, do they want to wait to file their taxes all the way into the middle of the summer? Okay. That's all I have for today. We covered a lot. We could cover even more. There's so much going on in this program right now. Anything you guys want to talk about?
I guess I was just thinking, I saw something in my email and it's like a guide to help rural grocery stores get going. I think I'm going to there's a training that starts at the end of this month and then another one that's in the summer, or maybe it's in the fall, like August. But I'm going to take that with my team because one of the things I identified is we just don't even have that many food retailers here. And I'm really interested in getting more grocery stores open. That's sort of my longer term goal. And I don't know if anyone in this group is just interested in the link to that training. I think it's like the Rural Grocery Store Initiative, but I just realized maybe other folks in this group might be interested in taking a look at that. I could send it to you, Mickey, and I don't know, send it back out to the group.
Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. The Rural Grocery Store Initiative is an amazing resource that's, focused on rural, of course, though it's a little more relevant to that, but the concepts still carry to urban and suburban areas too. And they're based out of Kansas. Yeah, they hosted a summit last year, maybe it was the year before. I thought about bringing it up with us and maybe trying to get a group going, but the program was just so new that I didn't even put it as a priority. But I love that you're bringing this up, Jay, because I think their resources are incredible. I think the consortium will definitely be benefiting from some of the things that they've put out. And yeah, I think they're really digging into this rural grocery store challenge. So I'm really excited that you're gonna take that training.
Hey, Mickey, I was just drafting a list of things that I heard you say we could focus on between now and April or March. So I have help the grantees to close out their projects with proof of purchase documentation. Help grantees to fill out impact reports. Onboard new consortium members. Tax credit applications for 2024 purchases, even though that it can't be submitted until after March 17th, right? Okay. And then strategic planning for our regional OTA teams
Hmm.
and help consortium members to fill out feedback surveys.
Hmm.
And participate in the consortium member meetings, if possible. And then, yeah, just general participation in these meetings as well as our regional OTA meetings.
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
you got it, Eileen. And
And I'm
I,
happy to submit that list in the chat if people think it would be helpful.
well, so Eileen, I just want to show you, this is the agenda for today. And for the
Okay.
past, I don't know, I don't remember when I started this, but I have been putting what I see as your priorities at the bottom of every agenda. So if you want to go back to a few months, you can kind of see how this has evolved,
Right.
but this is how I see your priorities shaping up for this month time period, but it will likely be similar in February because I don't anticipate a ton of things will seismically change in that time period. So yeah, I think what you put is exactly right, but I think I maybe said it in the same way, but a little different in our agenda.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and so there's also some links, I put consortium links here. So if you want to watch the recording, so we just have quarterly meetings with the consortium. So, just there aren't meetings happening every week with the consortium. So we've got the recordings there. This is a link to those consortium tax credits. We are thinking of making some adjustments based off of what came in this past time around. And then, yeah, this consortium member resource folder has everything, all of their opportunities through the food hubs, through the tax credit, and hopefully we add a lot more to this as we go. And then here are the links to the surveys. Does that help? Eileen, is that different than what you took away or sound kind of the same? Any other comments or questions?
We had a meeting for our Metro Denver group yesterday, and we had some questions come up that some of our group had. And so we wanted to, a lot of them are around the tax credit, which I know we're kind of on pause for, but it's just things to kind of think about. We were wondering if after this first couple of rounds of tax credits are processed, if we'll be able to see data on what worked, what got approved and what got denied, and what are the main mistakes. I think we kind of did that with the grants, and it was really helpful. So would that be possible with tax credits?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Yeah, I can tell you right off the bat, though, the main issue we're seeing is something that I hope we can solve with a better application platform. So the main problem is people just not really knowing what they need to submit in terms of proof of purchase and proof of payment, or not submitting at all, right? So our hope is that we have a platform that really guides them to submit exactly what we need. And then that will reduce all this back and forth after the fact and speed things up. In terms of so much about the application language is absolutely the same as the grant, right? CDA is authorized to give tax credits to equipment that expanded access to healthy food for low-income, low-access individuals. So we need to just see that. And, you know, we've heard feedback that it's challenging to draw a connection between a sausage stuffer and increased like a big change in someone's life. So this is where you guys can really help tell that story. You know, it might not be the most obvious connection, but talk about increased sales, talk about increased shelf life, talk about improved quality. You know, it's all that narrative around the purchase. And most importantly, most importantly is the connection to a low income, low access population, which I know is sometimes a grayer area than we want it to be. I wish there was like a really perfect map with perfect data, but you know, we can always lean on SNAP sales. That's a really cut and dry way to establish there are sales going to of this product going to folks shopping with a low income. So I would say for that application language, everything we learned from the grant is exactly relevant for the tax credit. We just need to see that connection. And right, once that connection is established, like a lot of things are eligible, a lot of things count as equipment. But that connection to expanded opportunities for people to buy healthy food is absolutely critical. So that's kind of vague, but
I think that's helpful. And I know there's in the resource folder, like a report that came from the grants of like reasons for unsuccessful applicants and stuff. So maybe we can look back through that too.
Actually, what you can do, if you don't mind me sharing your spreadsheet, is you can see this is filtered to just the awarded. So if you unfilter it, you know, select everything, you can see all of the reasons written out here. So that's the case for all of your spreadsheets. So I just cleaned it up a little bit by just showing you who was awarded. And then do note that we have round 1 and round 2 on your spreadsheets. But yeah, that's right there for you.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a few other questions. I want to leave space for others if they have questions, but I'll just go ahead and ask one more right now. So this one is more of a clarification. We know that if someone fills out the eligibility form and gets a pre-approval, there's still like a risk of not being approved. And we just wanted to make sure we were understanding, right? That risk is just if you all run out of funding for the tax credit. Is there anything else within that risk?
So this eligibility form truly just says if the business buys the equipment and uses it as described and submits an application, and there's still money available, they'll get the tax credit. So it's truly like, am I eligible? Is this eligible? But it's tough because the eligibility application asks about a future purchase, whereas we're only allowed to give tax credits if it was used appropriately. So it's truly not a promise of a tax credit. And you know, I just want to make this super clear. Just because you have a letter that says I am eligible, you still have to apply for, you have to fill out the application, prove that you bought it, prove that it was used appropriately. Those are the things that CDA has to gauge. So I don't love the letter of eligibility. It is in our statute. I think it's designed to give a little more comfort to businesses who are planning to make a humongous purchase, but it's truly like, we can't withhold money for it. We can't award the credit if there isn't a if it wasn't demonstrated to be used to advance access to healthy food. So I know I've tried to deter people from filling it out, but it can be a good tool for folks if they feel like they have a nuanced situation. Yeah, it could also be a chance to get a little bit of feedback, right? Like, we're not seeing this connection. How are you going to demonstrate that? And that could be something they, take into account when they buy the piece of equipment and actually apply. But yeah, all the letter of eligibility does is give that business a chance to kind of understand if they bought that item, if it would be eligible.
Okay, got it. That's helpful.
Yeah. Thanks for bringing that up. The letter of eligibility request form will be up on our website this entire time, So we do encourage people to read the rules before they fill it out. We don't want it to be like, oh, do you feel like not reading about whether or not you're eligible or the thing is eligible? We really want, we do have to process all these submissions. So it is quite a bit of work to do that. But it is going to still be open, and it will be really important that they indicate what date they plan to buy the purchase, because they will be subject to different rules potentially based off when they say they'll buy the equipment. Okay, it's 11:30. Thank you everyone for being here. Thanks for all of your nice words. And it's fun to know who's the middle child, just like me. I'm really looking forward to reading all of your quarterly reports. So yeah, stay tuned we'll probably want to set up a time to chat after those. So thanks for all of your hard work on that and for being along on this ride.
Thanks.
See you later.
Gracias, Maite.
Thank you, Lucy. Okay, I just want to read the chat and make sure I'll stop recording though.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I don't